What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the other side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon
What's up? What's up?
and LeVon Maynard.
Welcome to the show.
What's going on? So this should be the Tuesday episode. So if you're tuning in for the first time, definitely check out Monday and Tuesday are our topics. Wednesday is our discussion, and then Fridays we talk about everything else. So non-cyber related movies, books, TV shows, all that good stuff. Without further ado, I give it to Shannon.
All right, everybody. So this article comes from BBC.com. It's actually BBC News Sydney. But the title of this article is Optus, How a Massive Data Breach Has Exposed Australia, right? So what this was there was an Australian telecommunications giant, Optus, revealed about 10 million customers, which is 40% of the population of Australia, had personal data stolen, and what it now calls a cyber attack, right? So what it was, Optus, like I said, telecommunications company, right? So this is your wireless, your internet, your cable, your TV, all that stuff, right? And what happened, they're actually the second largest telecoms provider. And what happened was the data was stolen was the names, birth dates, home addresses, phone, email contacts, passport, driving license numbers of current and past customers to the company, right? So the company tries to say, okay, well, they want to kind of downplay it by saying, well, there was no payment details and account passwords that were compromised or any of this. But what difference does that make if your passport and driver's license numbers were compromised, right? Because that's one of those things where those are items that can be used to like verify identity and things of that nature, right? Somebody could commit identity theft, things like that, and pretend to be you, right? But yeah, so the passport and license numbers that were taken, about 2.8 million people, right, are at a risk of identity theft and fraud. Is what the government said. Now, Optus, they're investigating it, right, as the company should. But like I said, they're trying to downplay it a little bit and say they have strong cybersecurity. Well, not really, right? So a reporter actually reached out to the person that was actually responsible, was claiming responsibility, and he was like, nah, I didn't have to do much at all, right? Like they were not as secure as they were making themselves out to be, which is kind of troubling, right? And they also did an interview with the let me make sure I get this woman's title right. It was an ABC television interview. Cybersecurity Minister Claire O'Neill was asked the question, you certainly don't seem to be buying the line from Optus that this was a sophisticated attack. And she, as the cybersecurity minister, right, said, well, it wasn't, so no. Right? So that's not a good look, right? Because you can imagine that they've looked into it as well and they know how it happened, and they're saying, no, this was not sophisticated. They didn't have to try hard. You guys, as our number two telecommunications company, should have done a better job of protecting your customers, which is our citizens of Australia. So yeah, this is not a good look, right? Because Australia is one of those, like, the only thing I hear coming out of Australia is about how everything there can kill you, right? Like you got all types of scorpions and spiders and gators and crocodiles is Australia, right? Not gators, but you know how everything in Australia, yeah, how everything in Australia can kill you, but you don't really hear too much when it comes to cybersecurity or anything like that. But apparently they're not that great at it. You know what I'm saying? So this is one of those things where, again, 10.8 million people or whatever it was are at risk of identity fraud, right? And this started bringing up some of the questions. So like a lot of the stuff that happens over in Europe when it comes to how your data is distributed, you being notified, how it's being used, these questions are starting to be asked now in Australia, right? Because of this, like, so they may go the way of how Europe is doing and following their example when it comes to how your information is shared, when it's shared, you're notified of its use and things like that. So this is going to be one of those things where it's going to be a major turning point for Australia. Like it always takes a big hit like this or something of this nature for you to make the change, which is sad, right? Because they should have seen this stuff coming. It's not like this stuff has not been happening, to countries, to small states, you know what I mean, in the United States. Like you can just look at the news and see this stuff is happening everywhere, and they should have done better, right? Optus, I'm speaking of. So we'll see what comes of it. We'll see if they end up paying for it. But LeVon, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you covered it very well, but it's like, it's one of those things where It's another big large area of effect hack that's affected pretty much the entire country, almost the entire country. And actually, I was kind of surprised. Like I didn't realize, and not common knowledge to me, but I was like, oh, that's like 40% of Australia's population. I thought there's more people that lived in Australia than that, but I guess they have about 25 million people total in Australia. But for that,
a lot of that is outback. Ain't no a lot of people living in
right,
that, man. You know what I mean? Like, there ain't too many crocodile Dundees out there. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, it's minimal people. Yeah, but it's absolutely concerning. I mean, that such a large country got affected. Like nearly half the population has been compromised, or the identity is at risk. And I kind of glanced through the article, but I didn't see anything about them offering free identity protection like some people in the States do.
You bring that up, right? So like I went to their site. I went and looked on Optus, and like they haven't even updated anything since last week. Like their last update on the whole thing, I think, was 21 September or something like that. Because I wanted to see if they posted anything different.
Yeah.
And their last release on it was 21 September.
Like LifeLock is like thinking of a campaign in the commercial right now. They had a whole symbol of LifeLock on top of Australia. we got you.
Right. We can help you. Just come to us. LifeLock will save the day. Yeah. So it's just incredible that I don't know. And of course, like we talked about it before, like you don't really hear about exactly what happened, like what caused this caused the breach. Like where was the I don't know, who was slipping up, and what could have done what could have they done better to prevent this kind of incursion. But this is one of those things that we just we talk about it all the time. These companies just have to put more focus on their cybersecurity efforts. I think you mentioned it too, Shannon, that this was like they kind of knew that they had lack cybersecurity awareness that they're at this location, and that should never be the case. The company should be like keeping that at the forefront if they want to stay in business. They want to keep trust with their customer base, and they want to keep making money. They better put more money into their cybersecurity efforts as well. But I guess with that, I'll turn it over to you, Ryan. What you think about this?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty wild. Like same thing when I saw 40%, I was like 40%. But yeah, Australia is a little bit smaller. And what I didn't know, like a few years back when they had the really big devastating fire that they had, it was kind of like in the center of the country. Is that most people live on the shoreline, so most people live around the ring of Australia, not within it, because like it is outback, right? So like it's pretty hard to get in there and survive. But yeah, 40%. So I mean, that calls for the question, like, do they have cyber security insurance? The company, because if so, like, is that company going to pay out? Like, that's a lot of money. And then on top of it, like, is this a monopoly because they own 40% of the country's telecommunications? Like, do they need to get broken up, or is that just an American thing? Like, where they break up companies to make sure smaller companies can compete.
So even with that number though, they were the second largest telecommunications company in Australia.
That's crazy.
What the article says, and they have 40% of the population. So is there another one out there that has like
the other
60%? Or yeah, you know what I mean? Like what is it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy and devastating. Like, yeah, you're talking about GDPR. I wonder if they have an equivalent there when it comes to people's data, because if so, they want to get lit up. Like the company will be hurting for a long time. Back in my mind, I was thinking, like, what if, like, not just to talk about a particular company that protects your PII, but what if they were like they had like like it wouldn't be a state-funded hacktivist group or whatever, but like what if they had like a small group within them that breaches companies to draw business? Because that's how you get in there, right? Like, oh, we can protect all this PII that we stole. But yeah, that is a lot. And then I saw that the perpetrator put some of the PII online as a sample to show, like, hey, you're going to pay me. I believe it was $1 million US or 1.5 million in the Australian dollar in ransomware. So that they still haven't been caught. I'm sure Australia does have a CERT or something like that team that's going to go out there and try to investigate this, as well as their federal government have to get involved, because 40%, you have to protect people, right? So 40% of your population now has their PII out there. So now you're going to reap the whirlwind. Whoever this is going to catch it from the government and from an international perspective, right? Like I can see the DOJ and a few other entities coming in and trying to help them out, because that is a lot of people and that's a lot of money that they're asking for. So of course they ask for it in crypto, right? So like as we saw, the Department of Justice was able to retrieve Bitcoin, so it's not as secure as you may think. So go ahead and be prepared to be the next article we talk about, where they locked you up in Australian prison, like somewhere in the outback, as your punishment.
With scorpions and spiders that can kill you, you know. That's
Yeah, yeah, the brown snake, like one of the most venomous snakes ever, man. I used to watch oh man, what's his name?
Steve Irwin.
Irwin. Yeah, everything was dangerous out there, man. Like, so you'll mess around and find out. But yeah, again, another great episode. Definitely tune in throughout this week. So the discussion should also be really good. And obviously Friday seems to be a favorite throughout the week, where we talk about everything but cybersecurity. I think y'all trying to tell us something. Tune in Monday and Tuesday for the topics, Wednesday for discussion, and then Fridays everything else. You can hit us up at all of our at all the show's websites. Go by our name, and then you can hit me up personally. I'm at RY Security Guy. That's RY Security Guy. I'm on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Clubhouse. And you, LeVon?
Yes, sir. You can hit me up on the Twitters at LeVon Maynard.
There it is. Stay safe. Stay secure.
Take care.